When we talk about love, we often imagine it as a simple feeling, something easy to understand, easy to express, something shared between two people. We think of affection, of romantic gestures, of emotional connection. But the renowned psychoanalyst Carl Jung urged us to go much deeper. He believed love was not just an emotion or a moment of passion. It was something far more profound, something capable of shaping our very soul. According to Jung, love is not merely a romantic experience. It is a transformative force that invites us to evolve into who we truly are. When someone genuinely loves you, it goes beyond surface-level affection. It's not just about being liked, admired, or desired. Real love, in Jung's eyes, is a psychological and spiritual bond that transcends physical attraction or temporary feelings. It is an energy, a force that, when experienced sincerely, reshapes our identity and pushes us closer to our true self. This kind of love doesn't try to possess or control. It liberates, nurtures, and challenges us in ways we often don't expect. So, what does it look like when someone truly loves you? According to Jung, genuine love is rooted in deep understanding. It reveals itself in actions, in patience, in support, and in the space one person gives another to grow. When someone truly loves you, the first thing they do is honor your individuality. They do not try to mold you into a version that fits their ideal. They do not attempt to change you to meet their expectations or needs. Instead, they recognize and respect your uniqueness. They see your essence, your individuality, and they want you to be more of who you are, not less. For Jung, a healthy and transformative relationship depends on this very concept. He believed that for love to be real and for a connection to thrive, both people must preserve their individual selves. True love is not about merging into one indistinct entity. It is about two complete beings walking together, growing together, without losing themselves in the process. If someone truly loves you, they will encourage you to pursue your passions, your dreams, your voice. They will support your self-expression, your creativity, and your evolution. This is what Jung referred to as the process of individuation, the journey of becoming your most authentic self. It means stepping away from social expectations, shedding the masks we wear, and embracing our deepest truths. It's a path of inner discovery, and while it is not always easy, it is necessary for true fulfillment. And real love, the kind that doesn't fade, becomes a catalyst for this transformation. It doesn't hinder your journey, it fuels it. A person who genuinely loves you will walk beside you as you face your inner battles. They will not run from your darkness. On the contrary, they will encourage you to confront it, to face the parts of yourself you've been afraid to acknowledge. Jung called this inner darkness the shadow. It represents the unconscious aspects of our personality, the fears, impulses, insecurities, and desires we often repress or deny. These are the pieces of ourselves that we believe are unlovable, unacceptable, or too frightening to face. But true transformation begins when we stop hiding from the shadow and start integrating it. Someone who truly loves you will not judge you for your flaws. They will not shame you for your pain. Instead, they will create a safe space for you to explore those hidden parts of yourself. They will listen. They will hold space. They will offer compassion and understanding, not criticism or control. They will stand by you, not only when you are strong and radiant, but also when you are broken, uncertain, and vulnerable. And that's what makes this kind of love so powerful. It's not afraid of your imperfections. It embraces them. Real love invites healing. It allows you to become whole, not by erasing your darkness, but by learning to live with it, to understand it, and ultimately, to transform it. When someone loves you in this way, they become a mirror, reflecting back not just who you are on the outside, but the deeper truths you might not yet see in yourself. Jung believed that, at a fundamental level, we seek in others the reflection of our own psyche. We are drawn to those who show us pieces of our inner world, our fears, our hopes, our wounds, and our light. And when someone truly loves you, they don't just see who you are right now. They sense the parts of you that even you might not fully understand. They see your potential. They see your complexity. They see your soul. This kind of love doesn't keep you comfortable. It doesn't settle for the status quo. It pushes you. It challenges you. It dares you to grow. It inspires you to evolve, to expand, to rise above your limitations. Love, in its most genuine form, is not complacent. It is a fire, and it burns not to destroy, but to purify, to awaken, to transform. When someone really loves you, they don't put you on a pedestal. They don't see you as a project to fix or a fantasy to fulfill. They see you as a human being, flawed, beautiful, complex, and capable of growth, capable of facing your fears, capable of navigating the shadows within you and emerging stronger, wiser, and more whole. Jung spoke of love not as a fleeting emotion or an act of possession, but as a profound process of integration. To him, the real magic of love didn't lie in the idealization of another person or in the illusion of ownership, but in the capacity of love to unify and heal the fragmented parts of the soul. When someone truly loves you, that love becomes a journey, one that leads both of you into the depths of self-awareness. That person doesn't just celebrate your virtues or admire the traits you proudly display. They also walk with you through your insecurities, your fears, your wounds, the parts of yourself you try to hide or deny. True love embraces all of you. This kind of love doesn't mean ignoring your flaws or pretending your mistakes don't exist. On the contrary, it recognizes your imperfections as part of your humanity. Jung believed that every human being carries scars, and those scars are not signs of weakness. They are the evidence of survival, of growth, of evolution. To love someone truly is to accept those scars, not as burdens, but as sacred marks of experience. It's an acknowledgement that no one is perfect, and that imperfection is not something to be fixed. It is something to be understood. The essence of true acceptance lies in the willingness to grow together. It's about embracing the truth that people change. We evolve over time, and that evolution is not always comfortable. Sometimes growth is painful. Sometimes it challenges the very foundation of who we thought we were. But what matters most is that real love does not abandon you in the midst of that transformation. It stands beside you, quietly and faithfully, not rushing your process or trying to mold you into a version that feels more convenient. Real love holds space for your metamorphosis. Love, in this sense, becomes an unspoken agreement, a mutual commitment to transformation. The person who truly loves you doesn't merely accept who you are in this moment. They also see who you can become. They don't pressure you, but they inspire you. They don't impose timelines or expectations, but they encourage growth. They love you as you are, and at the same time, they nurture the seed of the best version of yourself. This, according to Jung, is one of the most profound truths about love. It is not static. It is not meant to keep you frozen in time, locked into patterns of comfort or avoidance. Love is a living force. It's dynamic. It's constantly moving, constantly shifting, and always leading you, if you allow it, to deeper authenticity. True love pushes you gently but persistently toward your essence. Jung also emphasized that true love is not free from conflict. In fact, in any deep and meaningful relationship, disagreements and misunderstandings are inevitable. Moments of frustration will arise, because when two people open their souls to one another, they are bound to touch each other's vulnerabilities. They will trigger old wounds, reveal hidden fears, and challenge long-held beliefs. But the presence of conflict does not signal the absence of love. Rather, it reveals the depth of the connection. What truly defines a relationship rooted in genuine love is not the absence of conflict, but how those conflicts are handled. A person who loves you deeply does not run away at the first sign of tension. They don't avoid hard conversations or manipulate situations to maintain control. Instead, they face the discomfort with honesty. They seek to understand, not to dominate. They choose dialogue over silence, resolution over blame. In real love, every conflict becomes an opportunity, not just to resolve a tension, but to learn more about yourself and about your partner. Jung believed that the most authentic relationships are the ones in which both individuals are willing to confront their own shadows. That means facing the fears, the insecurities, the unconscious patterns that often show up in the form of projections. When you are truly in love, you no longer see the other person as a mirror of your ideal, but as a real, complex being, worthy of being seen and known in their entirety. It is through this confrontation with the self, this honest reckoning with our inner world, that we begin to understand not only our partner, but ourselves. Love, then, is not about avoiding problems. It's about embracing them. It's about recognizing that every challenge is a chance to grow together, to deepen intimacy, to create a bond forged not in fantasy, but in truth. Real love does not live in a fairy tale. It lives in the everyday choice to show up, to stay present, and to do the work. One more essential trait of true love, and one Jung held in high regard, is the deep respect for the other person's autonomy. Loving someone does not mean trying to possess them or control their path. It means allowing them the freedom to be who they are, to make their own choices, to follow their own inner compass. Love cannot thrive in a cage. It requires space, space to breathe, to expand, to explore. Respecting someone's autonomy means honoring their individuality, even when their journey looks different from yours. According to Jung, for love to be genuine, each person must feel free within the relationship. This doesn't mean being selfish or indifferent. It means allowing one another the space to be who they truly are, without feeling restricted by the other's expectations. When someone truly loves you, they will respect your choices, your dreams, and your boundaries without trying to impose their own will. This mutual respect for personal autonomy is the foundation of any balanced and healthy relationship. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking love is merely the exchange of affection. But Jung teaches that love is a deep connection that challenges both individuals to grow, to confront their shadows, and to integrate the fullest version of themselves. A person who truly loves you will push you to look inward, to explore your darkest corners, and to embrace all that you've been, all that you are, and all that you might become. Through this integration process, love becomes a vehicle for healing, not an escape from reality, but a brave and authentic way to face it. The person who truly loves you is not only willing to share in your joys, but also to walk with you through pain, knowing that suffering is often where the greatest transformations are born. When someone really loves you, they become an ally in helping you uncover the greatness within you. Jung believed that love wasn't only about emotional support, but about a profound commitment to the other's development. Genuine love drives a person to reach their highest potential. It doesn't settle for superficial connection. It seeks to deepen, to understand, and to cultivate everything that exists within the loved one. This drive toward growth is something only true love can offer. It's when someone loves you in this way that a space is created for you to break free from the limitations you've imposed on yourself. Love, from this perspective, is an act of courage. It invites the other to confront their own limits, to acknowledge their fears, and to transform. Jung also saw love as a force that transcends the separation between self and other. In a true relationship, there is no power struggle, no need for control. Love is not a competition or a battle for attention or validation. It's a collaboration to explore the mystery of life together. Authentic love invites us to realize that we are not separate beings, but that we all share a deep and invisible connection. This connection is what allows a person to truly love you, because in their love for you, they are also loving a part of themselves. Someone who genuinely loves you becomes a mirror, reflecting your struggles, your joys, and your shadows. This symbiotic relationship, grounded in love, helps you face yourself more completely. Through their presence, their gaze, you may discover parts of yourself that you had repressed or never recognized. That's one reason why the deepest relationships can be so powerful. They are not merely about two people in love. They are about two souls meeting to heal and grow together. It's important to understand that true love doesn't always appear in an idealized way. It's not about a perfect image or a flawless partner. On the contrary, real love is imperfect, raw, and often complicated. What matters isn't perfection, but the willingness to walk together, despite the challenges, the conflicts, and the differences. Jung believed that true intimacy isn't found in the absence of conflict, but in the ability to accept those differences and use them as tools for mutual growth. True love is not passive, it's active. It's an ongoing process of learning, understanding, and accepting. When someone truly loves you, they commit to understanding you on a deep level, to hearing not just your words, but also your silences, your gestures, and your unspoken emotions. This kind of love goes beyond the surface and reaches into the depths of your being, touching the most sensitive and vulnerable parts of your soul. What Jung proposed is that love is a powerful tool for discovering our authenticity. In a true relationship, there is no need for masks or pretense. Someone who genuinely loves you doesn't expect perfection or demand that you fit into their ideal image of how you should be. Instead, they accept you as you are, with your flaws, your fears, and your virtues. This kind of love frees the loved one from the pressure of being someone they are not, allowing them to live their life authentically without fear or limits. When someone truly loves you, they become an essential part of your personal journey towards self-knowledge and self-understanding. Jung emphasized the importance of the relationship between the conscious self and the unconscious, and how our interactions with others can reflect our inner world. When someone truly loves you, that relationship becomes a safe space where you can explore and reconcile with the deepest parts of yourself, parts you might otherwise have left untouched. In the end, true love isn't an external force that changes you, but an internal one that awakens the best in you. It challenges you to become your best self, not out of obligation, but from a deep desire to live authentically, in harmony with your essential being. This is the transformative power of love, according to Jung. It not only helps you grow, it inspires you to become the person you were always meant to be. When true love manifests, it's not just a fleeting feeling, but a constant energy that transforms, shapes, and stays with you over time. This energy doesn't thrive on ease or surface-level connections. It feeds on depth, on shared vulnerability, on challenges faced together. Someone who truly loves you knows that the path to the heart isn't always straight or easy, but it's the only path worth taking. In this sense, love isn't only found in joyful moments or shared victories, but in how adversity is faced together. Jung understood adversity as one of the most powerful tools for personal growth. The difficulties faced in a relationship are not obstacles to be avoided, but opportunities to deepen the connection. To see the other not as an idealized figure, but as a human being with their own inner battles. It's in those dark moments where true love can shine brightest. The one who truly loves you stays even during the hardest times. They don't run from pain, nor do they flinch when shadows emerge. On the contrary, the one who truly loves you helps you face those shadows, to illuminate them and learn from them. They don't try to save you from yourself, but walk with you through your process, offering space and safety so you can heal and grow, without ever forcing the journey. Jung also stressed that love cannot exist without mutual respect. This respect is essential, as it involves a deep understanding of the other person, not just in what's visible and obvious, but also in the most intimate and hidden aspects. True love is not possessive, not controlling. It is rooted in the understanding that every person is a unique and complex being with their own inner world. Someone who truly loves you respects your individuality, your boundaries, and your dreams without trying to shape you into their image or expectations. This ability to honor the other's autonomy is what allows a relationship to evolve without falling into emotional dependency. Genuine love doesn't seek to merge into one single identity, but values the freedom of each individual within the relationship. It's a dance where both partners support each other while still maintaining personal space and the freedom to be who they truly are. In a relationship grounded in true love, there is no room for possession, only for collaboration, respect, and mutual growth. Through this love, Jung invites us to learn to love ourselves. Genuine love, both the one we give and the one we receive, teaches us to recognize, embrace, and heal the wounds we carry within. This is one of Jung's most powerful lessons. True love begins within ourselves. We cannot expect someone else to love us fully if we are not first able to love ourselves. It's a journey that starts with the unconditional acceptance of who we are, embracing all our flaws and vulnerabilities. When someone truly loves you, they help you realize that love isn't something you find outside. It's something that grows inside of you. They encourage you to understand your own needs, desires, and emotions without judgment or rejection. This kind of love doesn't aim to make you feel complete or worthy. It allows you to be yourself without needing to become something you're not. It's a love that gives you space to grow, to explore, to make mistakes, and to learn. It grants you freedom, not just in the relationship, but in your life as a whole. Carl Jung believed that every human being holds the potential to reach wholeness, what he called individuation, the process of becoming your true self. This journey cannot be achieved without the experience of real love. Through love, we begin to uncover who we truly are and what we genuinely need to feel fulfilled. It's through love that we can heal our deepest wounds and learn to embrace even our darkest parts. That's why, when someone truly loves you, they are contributing to your individuation, not just as a partner, but as a fellow human being. They help you reconnect with your essential self, dive into the depths of your soul, and break free from the chains of fear and insecurity. This love is a rare gift because it reminds you that vulnerability isn't a weakness, but rather that true strength lies in loving and accepting yourself just as you are. In the end, true love, according to Jung, is an act of creation. It's the creation of a shared life that reflects the authenticity of both individuals. It's not built on codependency or sacrifice, but on the freedom for each person to flourish on their own path while supporting each other along the way. Genuine love isn't just an emotional exchange, it's a profound alliance that goes beyond the physical and mental. It's a bond that connects two souls through their most meaningful and purposeful journey. True love, in Jung's eyes, is not simply a connection. It's a transformative path toward healing, self-awareness, and growth. When someone truly loves you, they stand with you, not only in the joy, but also through the darkness where you need courage to grow and face your fears. That love inspires you to be your most authentic self, without masks or pretense, and to return home to your deepest essence. This kind of love is not a place where you hide from the world, nor is it a shelter you escape into when life gets hard. It's not about running away from your wounds or your fears. No, this kind of love is a fertile ground where you can grow, where your soul can breathe, and where your heart can expand beyond its previous limits. It's a sacred space where your true essence is not just seen, but nurtured and celebrated. Through this love, you begin to uncover your real potential, not only as someone's partner, but as a complete and evolving human being. It becomes a mirror that reflects who you truly are, even in your most vulnerable and raw moments. It pushes you, gently yet firmly, to face your limitations, to heal old wounds, and to find a sense of peace and wholeness within yourself. When someone loves you with genuine intention, they don't get stuck on your flaws. They don't try to fix you or mold you into someone else. Instead, they see past your imperfections and choose to embrace you entirely. But more than that, they inspire you. They encourage your transformation. They challenge you to grow, to become more authentic, to align with your higher self, and to discover the purpose that already lives within you. True love is not about control. It doesn't come with conditions, expectations, or cages. It doesn't ask you to be less of yourself just to keep the peace. On the contrary, it gives you the freedom to be exactly who you are. It helps you accept every part of yourself, even the sides you've hidden, feared, or rejected. This kind of love brings light to your darkness. It brings wholeness where you once felt broken. At its deepest level, real love is a creative force. It's not about clinging or sacrificing your identity. It's about building something beautiful together. It's the creation of a shared life that honors mutual respect, deep authenticity, and a willingness to evolve side by side. It's not about being dependent on someone, nor is it about giving yourself away. It's a partnership, a powerful alliance where both individuals support each other in growing, learning, and finding balance between love and freedom. Because genuine love isn't about finding someone to complete you. That's a myth. You're already whole. Real love is about sharing your life with someone who recognizes your individuality and encourages you to be your best self. Not for them, but for you. It's about standing beside someone, not in front of or behind them. It's about cheering each other on while still honoring your own unique paths. So if you've ever felt this kind of love, if you've been lucky enough to experience it, even briefly, or if you're currently searching for it, longing for a relationship that transforms you instead of depleting you, remember this: it all begins with you. The way you treat yourself, the way you speak to yourself, the way you embrace your own truth. That sets the tone for the kind of love you'll invite into your life. True love doesn't come from desperation. It doesn't grow out of need. It blossoms from a place of self-awareness and self-respect. When you allow yourself to be who you truly are, when you drop the masks and let your soul be seen, you start attracting people who are aligned with your essence. People who see your light and want to nurture it, not dim it. People who challenge you in the best way possible, who hold space for your growth, and who remind you of your worth. If this message touched something inside you, if it echoed in a corner of your heart, I invite you to take a moment to reflect. What kind of love are you cultivating in your life? Are you allowing yourself to be authentic? Are you surrounded by people who truly love and support you on your journey? And if you're not there yet, that's okay too. The journey toward real love often begins with shedding the illusions we've held onto for so long. It's not about rushing, it's about awakening. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's searching for real connection, someone who's in the midst of their own transformation. Because together, we can create a community, a circle of souls committed to love, authenticity, and wholeness. Leave a comment below and tell me, what part of this message resonated the most with you? What have you learned about love, real love, and how are you applying it in your life today? Your voice matters, not just for me, but for everyone else who, like you, is on a journey of growth and discovery. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share this content with others. Every time you do, you're helping this message reach more hearts. And more than that, you're becoming part of a movement, a family, dedicated to personal evolution, inner truth, and the beauty of loving consciously. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And most of all, thank you for being a part of this space. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, real love starts with you. I'm waiting for you. Have you ever felt that the universe was trying to tell you something, yet you didn't know how to listen? And what if nothing were accidental? Not even this video sliding in front of your eyes right now. And what if everything we call coincidence were actually a secret code woven into reality itself, attempting to awaken you from inside? Coincidences are the hidden language of destiny, Carl Jung said. But what if destiny was not a place or a straight line, but a mirror? Today, you may see for the very first time what has always been standing before you. But first, I need to tell you a secret. Every synchronicity begins with an inner silence. The kind of silence that can only be heard after losing everything, after the pain, the doubt, the surrender. It is there where signs appear, not as answers, but as questions that strike even deeper. We all have lived through that song that plays exactly when you think of someone. A book falling from a shelf, opened at the right page. A number repeating until it feels like delirium. A phrase spoken by a stranger that somehow sounds written for you, and then the shiver arrives, the stillness, the irrational certainty that something much larger has just unfolded. But is it real, or is it only your mind inventing meaning where none exists? Is it the universe calling you, or the ego trying to feel special? Prepare yourself. This is not a video for someone seeking certainties. It is an invitation for those who dare to listen to what has no sound, to see what has no form, to feel what cannot be explained. We are going to walk between coincidence and madness, between Jung and the echoes of thinkers like Alan Watts, between chance and the abyss. And maybe, just maybe, along the road you will discover that the universe is not outside you. It is you in disguise. If you are ready, breathe deeply. Do not promise to understand everything. Promise only to feel. Sometimes it is not a voice, not a sound, not a mystical vision in the sky. It is just a small shift in the air, a silent coincidence, a simple detail that for some reason freezes everything inside you. This is how the universe speaks to someone who can no longer bear living on autopilot. It whispers not to be understood, but to be felt, like that inexplicable premonition before a call, or that name you think of and suddenly appears on the screen, or the book that finds you when you had already given up searching for answers. They are not proofs, they are pulses, delicate vibrations that cross the skin of reality and strike directly into your spine. Carl Jung taught that life is not a linear journey with beginning, middle, and end. It is an encounter with oneself. Yet most people are too busy screaming for answers and never hear the inner music. And when you do not hear the music, you do not dance, you merely survive. How many times have you ignored signs because they came without subtitles, because they were too subtle for an anxious mind to capture? The universe does not work with evidence. It works with echo. What you emit returns, though never in the form you expect. Imagine an animal in the forest. It does not read signs. It does not study maps. It senses the smell in the air change, the temperature drop, a distant sound shifting its pattern, and it knows it is time to move. You are also that animal, but you forgot. That is why signs intensify when you begin to awaken and disappear when you try to control them, like fog vanishing as you walk toward it. Synchronicity is not a note written by God. It is a mirror showing that you stopped trying to control and therefore finally began to participate in the dance. I remember a woman who once wrote to me. She was in depression. She hadn't left her room in days. One day, she turned on the television at random. They were showing a documentary about butterflies. At that exact moment, one landed on her window. She cried not because it was a miracle, but because for the first time in weeks, she felt something she could not explain. And that feeling, that silent shock, was the universe breathing with her. Do you see it? It is not the coincidences that hold power. It is the state you are in when they appear, open, vulnerable, stripped of logic. There the invisible whispers, and you listen. So next time something strange happens, when a phrase shakes you, when a number repeats, when a book falls into your lap, do not ask, "What does this mean?" Ask, "Who am I now that this is happening to me?" Because perhaps the universe is simply responding to your new frequency, and you are finally listening. Before we continue, have you noticed that the more you break, the less they respect you? The problem is not in feeling. It is in letting those feelings take over your actions. Most people live as if it were normal to explode, to surrender, or to justify themselves, but none of that generates respect. What does create it is the control, the presence, and the calm firmness of someone who knows exactly who they are. There is a dance unfolding behind the curtains of reality, yet it does not bow to logic. It refuses classical mathematics. It ignores probability and still appears with surgical precision. When three impossible events align on the same day, when someone you have not seen for years calls you at the exact moment you think about them, when everything seems random, yet everything speaks the same language, a question rises. Is this chaos or an invisible choreography? Were you taught that the universe is a blind, deaf, indifferent machine, a broken clock spinning under the push of cold and meaningless forces? But Carl Jung looked at that same world and saw a pattern, not a logical pattern, but a meaningful one. Synchronicities, Jung said, are coincidences charged with significance, not causality. What does that mean? It means something might not have been caused by you, yet still be profoundly connected to you, as if the universe carried a refined sense of humor, an almost mystical irony. It does not respond to your logic. It responds to your inner state. Imagine an orchestra playing a melody only the attentive can hear. You do not see the musicians. You do not know the score. Yet suddenly, your life begins to move at the rhythm of that music. Things unfold. People appear. Obstacles dissolve. Not because you attracted them with thought, but because you resonated with something larger than yourself. I once met a woman who lived this. She was lost after the grief of losing her daughter. One day, without any reason, she walked into a bookstore. A book caught her attention, Surviving the Loss of a Child. She opened it and found a handwritten dedication. For the one living the pain that has no name. You are not alone. She looked at the clerk. He told her that book was not part of the inventory. She cried right there, on her knees between the shelves. Coincidence, perhaps? But in that instant, the universe did not feel chaotic. It felt as though it was dancing with her, inside and around her. The problem is that we were conditioned to trust only what we can explain. We want the why, the how, the origin. But synchronicity does not answer those questions. It answers with presence. It forces you to pause, to breathe, to sense that something exists beyond proof. Jung often hinted that life becomes more mysterious and more honest when we stop taking everything so seriously. Synchronicity is a wink from the cosmos, a gesture from reality saying, "Hey, I see you." But be careful. Not every pattern is synchronicity. The ego is a brilliant counterfeiter. It loves to find signs where only scarcity exists. It loves to feel chosen, special, enlightened, when in truth, it is simply hungry for control. True synchronicity does not place you above anyone. It dissolves you. It breaks your inner script and reveals that you are never in charge of the narrative. And paradoxically, it is in that moment that you begin to live with more lightness, when you understand that you are not the one writing the choreography, but the one dancing it. So do not try to understand everything. Feel the rhythm, close your eyes, and ask yourself, what if this is not random? What if this is exactly what I needed without knowing it? Because perhaps chance is only the most elegant disguise of universal intelligence. The ego wants signs, wants blinking lights, thunderous coincidences, revelations that make it feel special. It cries out for miracles, but what is real, what is true, what is deep, happens only in silence. And that is the great paradox of synchronicities. The more you want to see them, the less they appear. The less you expect them, the more they whisper. Perhaps because the universe does not respond to shouting. It responds to states. And in that quiet alignment, something within you finally remembers its own depth. Synchronicity behaves like a wild creature. It startles easily. When you try to force it, it runs away. When you simply watch without expectation, it moves closer. Because the universe is not trying to prove anything to you. It wants you to unlearn the habit of demanding. Have you noticed that the most magical moments of your life appeared when you were not trying to control everything? When you were surrendered, vulnerable, maybe even too tired to expect anything at all. And exactly there, the impossible fit into place. The problem is that the ego stores those moments and tries to recreate them. It turns mystery into formula, yet mystery refuses imitation. It only reveals itself to the inner emptiness, to that open and unconditioned attention that does not try to shape the experience, but simply live it. Carl Jung said, "The ego is a small island surrounded by a vast ocean of the unconscious, and it is when that island yields to the tides that improbable encounters begin to emerge." But the poor ego becomes restless. It wants to control the tide, wants the sea to follow the map, and that is when synchronicities dissolve, not because they stopped happening, but because you stopped seeing them. Carl Jung spoke of this as someone who whispers to a person who has already lost faith. You are not separate from the universe. You are its own expression. This is a dangerous truth for the ego, because it means there is no one here waiting for a sign. You are the sign itself. But that requires surrender, and the ego despises surrender. I once met a man who, after a series of intense synchronicities, began to write everything in a notebook. He started looking for signals in every word, in every license plate, in every shadow on the ground. Within a few weeks, he was exhausted. He confused anxiety with intuition, desire with revelation, until one day, while observing a bird resting on the windowsill, he cried not because it was a clear sign, but because for the first time he did not try to interpret anything. He simply felt. And there, in that instant, without explanation, he understood. The real emerges when the ego becomes silent. The paradox of synchronicity is simple, yet it demands maturity to live it. You do not find it when you search for it. You find it when you are so present that it was already there, only waiting for you to step aside. So next time you try to force a signal, breathe, grow quiet, and instead of asking where the miracle is, ask yourself whether you are available to see what is already happening. Because sometimes the greatest miracle is not that the universe changes, but that you finally stop resisting it. You believe time is a line, past, present, future, a rigid rail allowing only a single direction. But you must know that this idea is comfortable, yet false. Time is not linear, it is fluid. It slips between your fingers and sometimes returns to touch you with fingers from the future. There are moments that feel pulled from a déjà vu. You dream of someone and later encounter that person. The next day, you think of a name, and it appears in a random conversation. You see a scene in your mind, and it materializes days after. Coincidence, perhaps. But what if it is something more? What if time is breaking your logical narrative to reveal a larger pattern? Carl Jung said, "Time is not something passing through you. You are the one moving through time. You are the current." But the ego insists on clocks. It needs a before and after to feel in control. When events begin to happen out of order, it panics. But the unconscious smiles. Carl Jung described hundreds of cases in which dreams announce future events with precise details. Logic hates this, but the soul recognizes it, and maybe you have felt it too. A moment that seemed inevitable, as if you already knew it, not rationally, but intimately. The place, the smell, the gesture, everything carried the texture of something already lived. And deep down, you knew. This is not new. This is a return. Linear time is useful for schedules, but useless for mysteries. Synchronicity does not obey clocks. It occurs when past and future fold like mirrors touching, reflecting you here and now. And what you feel in those moments is deeper than understanding. It is recognition. Once I dreamed of a garden filled with white roses, and in that dream, a red-haired woman spoke words that brought me to tears. 3 days later, I was invited to a retreat, and when I arrived, I saw the same garden, the same roses, and yes, the same woman, standing there as if she had stepped out of a crack in time. She did not repeat the phrase from my dream. She only looked at me and smiled softly. And in that small gesture, it felt as though time folded into itself, revealing a hidden thread that connected my inner world with the outer one. It was not prophecy, it was synchronicity, exactly as Carl Jung described it. Time is a tapestry stitched with meaning, yet we only see the loose threads on the underside, the tangled lines that look random. But every so often, for a brief instant, we glimpse the true side of the tapestry, and everything aligns. Then we fall back into the messy reverse side and call chance what was actually design. The truth is that every synchronicity disrupts your usual sense of time, so it can reveal your deeper sense of truth. Then you understand you are not late and you are not early. You are exactly where you must be. So the next time something unlikely happens at the perfect moment, don't trust the word coincidence too quickly. Listen. Perhaps the future is whispering in your ear, and perhaps the past is smiling from behind your eyes. You have spent your whole life waiting for a sign. But what if, in silence and mystery, the universe has been waiting for you, not as a passive receiver of coincidences, but as the very emitter of meaning, as if reality itself were folded over your own consciousness, and every external sign you think you are chasing is actually your soul trying to recognize itself in the world. Carl Jung often reminded us that we are not victims of the universe. We are the universe expressing itself through a human story. And here, in this moment, the deeper revelation emerges. Synchronicities do not come from outside. They rise from within. Each time something improbable appears, you believe the cosmos is conspiring around you. But what if that so-called conspiracy is only the visible edge of an intimacy far greater than you imagine? What if the universe isn't trying to speak to you, but through you? Imagine yourself as a lens. The more clouded it is, the fewer patterns you see. But as you grow quiet, as you clear yourself, as you align with your inner landscape, the images begin to form. Not because the world changed, but because you finally became able to see, and then everything clicks. You are not here to interpret signs. You are the embodied meaning. I remember the story of a man who was on the verge of suicide. He went out for one final walk. In the street, a stranger stopped, looked him in the eye, and said, "You're still here for a reason. I felt I needed to tell you this." They had never met before, yet that single sentence saved a life. Now tell me, who was the sign? Who was the messenger? Perhaps the universe speaks when you become silent. Perhaps it moves when you stop running. And perhaps, just perhaps, it reveals itself when you finally recognize yourself as part of it. Synchronicities are cracks in logic through which the soul breathes, and each one carries a reminder. You were never separate, never random, never accidental. When you see a pattern forming, it isn't magic. It is you awakening. It is the veil thinning. It is the universe removing its mask. And behind that mask, what you see is yourself. So stop desperately searching for signs that you are on the right path. The simple fact that you are listening, feeling, questioning, that is the sign. You are the meeting point, where the visible world and the invisible one quietly converge, where randomness turns into intention, where noise dissolves into stillness. And when you begin to inhabit that awareness, not as an idea, but as a lived experience, everything around you subtly shifts its shape. Paths you thought were closed begin to open. People you never expected suddenly enter your life. And coincidences appear with such precision that they stop feeling like coincidences at all. Not because the world has transformed, but because you finally remembered, as Carl Jung taught, the deeper identity that was always waiting beneath your thoughts. You are the sign you have been searching for. You are the meaning you wish someone would reveal to you. You are the universe waking up inside its own dream, recognizing itself through your eyes. And somehow, without fully understanding how or why, you ended up here, reading or listening to these words, maybe in absolute silence, maybe with your chest tightening, maybe with that strange and unexplainable knot swelling in your throat. But whatever you feel, let this moment ask you for one simple thing. Pause. Not to look at the world outside, but to look at the space within you that suddenly became still for a second. That slight pause, that almost imperceptible interruption between one thought and the next. That was the deepest synchronicity of all. Because you didn't come here to decode external signs or interpret supernatural hints. You came here, whether you knew it or not, to remember yourself, to remember that the universe was never outside of you, and that the signals you spent so long searching for were always concealed in the delicate movements of your own awareness. You have never been a foreigner in this reality. You have always been the very language through which existence expresses itself. The dance was never between you and the universe as two separate things. The dance has always been you, as the universe, learning its own rhythm by living your life. And now, let me offer you one last story. Fragile, simple, but forever etched in me. Years ago, I was walking through a dark season of my life, an inner dimness that had no clear name, an existential exhaustion that felt ancient, as if I were carrying centuries of invisible weight on my back. One ordinary night, I sat alone on a cold bench in a nearly empty plaza. I didn't want advice. I didn't want meaning. I didn't want anything. I just wanted silence, something that didn't ask anything of me. In that quiet moment, a little boy passed by, holding his father's hand, and the child said something so unexpected, so small, yet so piercing, that it cracked something open inside me. He asked, "Dad, do you think the sky knows we're looking at it?" I didn't understand why those words hit me so deeply. I didn't know what they meant or what they were supposed to awaken, but what I did feel, unmistakably, was that the sentence didn't arrive by accident. It felt like the sky itself had spoken through the child, as if it truly was aware of my gaze. And somehow, I was part of its answer. From that night on, I stopped begging the universe for evidence. I stopped demanding signs with flashing lights. Instead, I learned to pay attention to whispers, the subtle ones, the quiet ones, the ones you only hear when you stop drowning in your own noise. And if this video found you today, at this exact moment in your path, then maybe this is your phrase in the plaza. Maybe this is your impossible synchronicity, the one you didn't know you were waiting for. Thank you for staying until this point. Thank you for not running away when the theme became heavy, or when the logic of ordinary life began to crumble around the edges. Thank you for allowing yourself to feel something that doesn't need to be explained or justified. It is late at night, and maybe deep down, you pressed play, not because you wanted entertainment, but because you wanted to be understood by someone who isn't afraid of the abyss. I wasn't either. Maybe you and I will never meet. Or maybe tomorrow, without knowing why, you will glance at the clock, see the number 111 glowing softly, and suddenly remember this exact moment. And for reasons you may never articulate, you will smile, because some part of you will recognize that the sky has been looking back the whole time. Life is a constant dance between the image we present to the world and the person we truly are inside. But how often do we actually stop and listen to that quiet inner voice that speaks to us in moments of doubt and stillness? Carl Jung taught us that real transformation begins the moment we stop running from our inner world and begin to face it with honesty and courage. And maybe, just maybe, you felt this yourself, an unshakable sensation that something in your life just doesn't feel right. It's that persistent feeling that perhaps you're chasing goals that don't genuinely belong to you, that you're living under the rules and expectations crafted not by your own hands, but by those of others, society, family, past versions of yourself. If that strikes a chord with you, know this: you're not alone. That discomfort you feel isn't a flaw or a mistake. It isn't something to hide or suppress. It is, in truth, a message, a calling, an invitation to come back to yourself, to reconnect with that part of your soul that may have been buried under fear, conformity, or the endless pursuit of approval. Carl Jung described this disconnection as the root of many inner conflicts that plague us. According to him, we all carry within us a shadow, a hidden side of ourselves that we'd rather not acknowledge. It contains everything we've rejected, denied, or felt ashamed of. But here's the paradox: within that shadow lie the seeds of our greatest gifts. They are like locked chests, and while opening them may be unsettling at first, doing so reveals not only our deepest fears, but also our most powerful talents, our truths, and our purpose. But to unlock that inner richness, we need more than bravery. We need willingness to look inward. And this, without sugarcoating it, is not an easy path. To confront our shadows means to face those aspects of ourselves that we'd rather keep hidden. It means admitting that many of our decisions may have stemmed from insecurity, fear of rejection, or a desperate need to fit in, instead of being guided by authenticity or love for ourselves. Yet, within this very act of confronting lies profound liberation. Because once you embrace these rejected parts of you, you stop being controlled by them. You stop reacting to the world from a place of emptiness or pain, and begin to respond from a space of inner completeness. Imagine how different your life could be if you stopped hiding from your fears and instead faced them like a warrior, ready not to destroy them, but to understand and integrate them. That is the promise Jung offered us. He believed that by integrating our shadow, we don't become perfect, We become whole. We become real. We step into a fuller, truer version of ourselves. But how do we begin this integration? How do we even start to identify what lies in the shadow? The first step is to pay close attention to the subtle signs, to the recurring emotions, to the patterns that seem to follow us, no matter how many times we try to change our outer lives. The unconscious doesn't speak in words, it speaks in images, in feelings, in synchronicities that repeat until we finally look inward. Perhaps you've noticed that certain situations or people consistently trigger strong emotions in you. These are not coincidences. They are windows, opportunities to ask, what is this experience trying to teach me about myself? Take a moment to think about someone who irritates you deeply. According to Jung, that irritation could be a projection. Your unconscious mind reacting to something in that person that mirrors a part of yourself you haven't accepted. Maybe that person's arrogance, their boldness, or their carelessness reflects a trait you've buried within yourself, something you were once punished for expressing. Instead of brushing those emotions aside as mere annoyances, what if you began to treat them as clues, as sacred signposts, pointing you toward hidden truths about your own psyche? The journey begins with self-knowledge. And I'm not talking about surface-level awareness of what hobbies you enjoy or what your favorite foods are. I'm talking about the deep, uncomfortable self-inquiry that asks, what really drives me? What holds me back? What inner narratives am I repeating to justify why I'm not yet living the life I want? This level of truth-telling requires radical honesty. It demands that you stop blaming others for your circumstances and begin taking full responsibility for your life. Jung believed that the outer world is a mirror of the inner world, which means if something isn't working out there, in your relationships, your work, your goals, the first place to look for answers is in here, not in the people around you, not in new circumstances or fresh distractions, but in how you relate to your own self. Because as you start to understand and transform your internal world, something magical happens. The outer world begins to shift as well. The right people show up. Opportunities begin to align. But more than anything, you begin to feel a sense of peace. Not because everything has become perfect, but because you have changed the way you engage with life. And that, right there, is the real power of this inner work. It frees you. It frees you to live not from a script written by others, but from the truth that has always lived inside of you. When you start to truly listen to yourself, you realize that the answers you've been searching for were never outside. They've always been hidden underneath the noise, beneath the distractions, waiting in silence to be heard. But let's be honest, this path isn't glamorous. It's not an overnight fix. It's a long, slow journey of returning to yourself. It takes time. It takes dedication. And above all, it takes courage. Because confronting your shadow means facing the uncomfortable parts of your past. It means unearthing painful memories, challenging long-held beliefs, and coming to terms with truths that you've spent years avoiding. Yet, despite its difficulty, this is the most worthwhile journey you'll ever take. Because on the other side of that discomfort is freedom. On the other side of those shadows is light. Not the blinding external kind, but the kind that glows from within. A steady, unshakable light that comes from knowing who you are, embracing all of yourself, and living in alignment with your truth. So if you've ever felt lost, disconnected, or like a stranger in your own life, take it as a sign that it's time to go inward, time to explore what you've avoided, time to reclaim your power, not by becoming someone else, but by finally allowing yourself to be who you've always been. Carl Jung teaches us something profoundly revolutionary. Our shadows are not our enemies. They are not demons to be vanquished, nor monsters to be suppressed. Instead, they are parts of ourselves that have been hidden, neglected, misunderstood. Yet they are powerful allies, waiting to be embraced. These shadows hold within them the very essence of what makes us whole. They are containers not only of our fears and unresolved pain, but also of our untapped potential, creativity, passion, and inner strength. Jung believed that the path to authenticity lies not in denying these darker aspects, but in acknowledging them, confronting them, and ultimately integrating them into our conscious lives. Think about this for a moment. Every time you suppress a difficult emotion, whether it's anger, sadness, envy, or fear, every time you reject a part of your personality that doesn't fit the expectations of society, your family, or your inner critic, you are building a wall between who you are and who you pretend to be. This wall might give you a sense of safety, of control, even of social acceptance. But over time, it becomes a prison made of your own denial. And this internal divide doesn't just separate you from yourself, it separates you from life itself. Have you ever felt that something essential is missing, even when everything appears to be going well on the outside? Maybe you have achieved success, met your goals, or fulfilled your obligations, and yet there's a hollow feeling, a void that no external achievement or possession can truly fill. That emptiness is not a defect, it's a signal that your true self is longing to be seen, to be heard, and to be reintegrated. Jung saw this disconnection as one of the core issues of modern existence. We live in a world that glorifies productivity over presence, appearances over authenticity, compliance over courage. We're taught to conform, to obey, to smooth out our rough edges, and to always keep it together. But in doing so, we stray further and further away from our essence. We become strangers to ourselves, actors in a performance that never ends, wearing masks to survive in a society that fears the rawness of the human experience. The problem is that you cannot live a fulfilling life while rejecting parts of who you are. It's like trying to fill a leaking container. No matter how much love, validation, or success you pour into it, it will never be enough if the holes of self-denial remain open. The solution, then, is not to chase more from the outside, but to begin the inner work of healing. And that healing begins with the courage to look within, to turn toward the very parts of yourself you've been taught to fear or feel ashamed of. When you begin this process of shadow integration, when you shine a light into your own darkness, something truly transformative begins to happen. You start to feel whole again. You no longer have to waste energy hiding your insecurities, masking your flaws, or pretending to be someone you're not. Instead, you begin to embody a deeper kind of authenticity, one that is grounded in self-acceptance, resilience, and truth. And that authenticity becomes contagious. It affects how you connect with others, how you navigate challenges, how you love, and how you are loved in return. Now imagine, just for a moment, what your life could be like if you allowed yourself to be fully and unapologetically you. Imagine a life where you no longer feel the need to hide your fears, silence your dreams, or minimize your vulnerabilities. A life where you stand rooted in the truth of who you are, not just your strengths, but also your flaws, your past, your wounds. That kind of life is not only possible, it's waiting for you on the other side of self-acceptance. This is the heart of Jung's work. It is not a path of perfection, but one of integration, a journey toward wholeness. It's about learning to live in harmony with the contradictions within you, to recognize that you can be both strong and fragile, both wise and wounded, both afraid and brave. Embracing this duality is what makes us human. And when we stop striving to be perfect and instead choose to be real, we discover a freedom and a peace that no external success can provide. This process, however, requires tremendous honesty. It asks you to suspend judgment and approach yourself with compassion, curiosity, and tenderness. Because the truth is, we all carry shadows, every single one of us. We all have fears we don't speak about, insecurities we try to hide, old wounds that never fully healed. But we also carry light. We carry dreams, strengths, wisdom, and beauty that the world desperately needs. And when we allow those aspects to coexist, when we bring our light into our darkness and our darkness into the light, we unlock a power within us that is transformative. In that moment of integration, we stop seeing ourselves as broken. We stop fighting against our nature. We stop hiding behind masks, and we begin to experience something rare and profound, a sense of inner peace that cannot be disturbed, a sense of freedom that comes not from escaping ourselves, but from embracing all that we are. And that ultimately is a choice to stop running, a choice to stop searching for fulfillment in all the wrong places, a choice to come home to yourself. And yes, this journey is not easy. It is not linear. There will be discomfort, resistance, and moments when you'll want to turn back. But with every step you take toward your own truth, you'll find that life begins to open up in ways you never imagined. You will start to notice something remarkable. The patterns that once held you captive, the toxic relationships, the self-sabotage, the chronic doubts, they begin to unravel. The weight of pretending falls away. The cycles of frustration lose their grip. And it's not because the world suddenly becomes easier or more forgiving. It's because your perspective changes. Your awareness expands. You begin to see things as they are. And more importantly, you begin to see yourself as you truly are. And from that place of wholeness, of clarity, of radical self-acceptance, you are free to create a life that reflects your deepest truths. A life not built on fear, but on purpose. Not on perfection, but on presence. A life where you are no longer at war with yourself, but finally at peace. Carl Jung spoke about the importance of individuation, a journey in which you stop defining yourself based on what others expect from you and start becoming who you truly are. Individuation isn't a destination, but a path. It's a continuous process of self-exploration and self-discovery, where you allow yourself to evolve and grow without clinging to the labels or roles that have been imposed on you. One of the most powerful aspects of this journey is reconnecting with your intuition. Jung believed that the unconscious is always trying to speak to you, not through words, but through symbols, emotions, and synchronicities. That unexplainable feeling you get when making an important decision, that inner sense that tells you you're on the right track or need to walk away from something. That is your intuition. And the more you connect with yourself, the stronger that inner guidance becomes. Intuition is like a muscle. The more you use it, the more reliable it gets. But to hear it, you must quiet the external noise. We live in a world that bombards us with opinions, expectations, and distractions. If you don't take the time to disconnect from all of that and listen to what you truly feel, it's easy to get lost in the chaos. That's why Jung emphasized the importance of introspection. Taking time to reflect and be with yourself isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. On this path, it's normal to face resistance. Maybe you've spent your entire life trying to meet others' expectations, following a path you didn't really choose. Suddenly realizing you can choose a different path can be terrifying. But here's the secret. True freedom lies on the other side of that fear. Fear is nothing more than a sign that you're about to grow. Jung said, "There is no awakening of consciousness without pain." And although that might sound intimidating, it's also deeply hopeful, because it means the pain you're feeling right now isn't punishment, but a sign that you're evolving. You're letting go of parts of yourself that no longer serve you to make room for something new, something more authentic. This process doesn't just transform your relationship with yourself, it also changes how you connect with the world around you. When you begin to live from your true self, you attract relationships that mirror that same depth and honesty. The people who once drained your energy begin to drift away, and in their place come those who inspire and support you. Jung strongly believed that our relationships are mirrors of our own psyche. The people we encounter, whether positive or challenging, are there to teach us something about ourselves. That's why, instead of blaming others for our problems, it's important to ask, what can I learn from this experience? What part of myself is being reflected in this situation? In doing this, you take control of your life. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become the creator of your reality. That doesn't mean everything will be easy or perfect, but it does mean you'll have the power to face any challenge with a new perspective and an inner strength you didn't know you had. When you reconnect with yourself, you discover that you don't need to control everything around you. That need for control, which is often just a response to fear, begins to fade when you realize that real security doesn't come from the outside world, but from your relationship with yourself. Jung invites us to trust the process of life, to understand that even the most difficult moments have meaning, if we're willing to learn from them. This is where the concept of synchronicity comes to life. According to Jung, synchronicity is how the universe responds to our intentions and inner state. Have you ever had an experience where things seem to align almost magically? Maybe you met someone at exactly the right time, or found an unexpected solution to something that had been troubling you. These aren't coincidences. They're signs that you're aligned with your truth. But to experience this alignment, you must be honest with yourself. You can't pretend you're at peace while battling your own fears. You can't attract authentic relationships if you're not being authentic with yourself. Jung reminds us that the universe is a mirror. What you project outward is what you receive. That's why inner work isn't just a tool for personal growth. It's also the key to transforming the reality you experience. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Perfection is an illusion that only creates more anxiety and disconnection. Instead of chasing it, Jung encourages us to embrace our imperfections as part of what makes us human. It's in our vulnerability that we find true strength. When you allow yourself to be who you are, without masks, you open the door to deeper, more meaningful relationships. This process of self-acceptance is liberating, but also challenging. It requires facing not just your shadows, but also the limiting beliefs you've carried for years. Maybe you grew up believing you weren't good enough, that you had to try harder to be loved or accepted. These beliefs though painful, are not the truth. They are stories you learned, and now you have the power to rewrite them. Jung believed that once we identify these inner stories, we gain the power to transform them. It's not an easy process, as it requires unlearning what we've accepted as truth for so long. But every step you take toward that transformation brings you closer to your essence, closer to that version of yourself that is free from the chains of the past. A key element in this journey is the power of letting go. Letting go of what no longer belongs to you, of what no longer resonates. It can be terrifying because it means leaving behind the familiar, even when the familiar doesn't make you happy. But Jung teaches us that in letting go of the old, we create space for something new to bloom. It's an act of faith, a reminder that the universe always responds to our choices. Think about the times you've clung to a relationship, a situation, or even a sense of identity that no longer served you. Maybe you believed that letting go would mean failure, that you needed to try harder to make it work. But what if instead you had trusted that letting go wasn't giving up? It was an act of self-love. When you choose to let go, you send a clear message to your unconscious. I deserve better. And that one decision has the power to change your life. When you release what no longer serves you, the universe starts to respond in surprising ways. That is the power of living in alignment with your essence. You begin to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that mirror your authenticity. Not because life magically transforms overnight, but because you've shifted your energy and your focus. Jung described it as an alignment between the conscious and the unconscious. It's a balance that allows you to act from your truth instead of reacting from fear or insecurity. This balance doesn't mean you'll never face challenges again. Life will always bring moments of uncertainty and pain, but what changes is how you meet them. You no longer view obstacles as punishments or failures, but as lessons, as chances to grow and to deepen your connection with yourself. Every experience, even the most difficult ones, becomes a stepping stone toward a fuller version of you. A central insight in Jung's work is the understanding that true power isn't found in controlling the external world. It's in mastering your inner world. That doesn't mean ignoring your emotions or repressing your fears. It means learning to face them with compassion and curiosity. Every emotion you feel, every thought that passes through your mind, is a clue that helps you understand yourself better. Imagine for a moment what your life would be like if you could live with that level of inner connection. If every decision you made came from your intuition rather than your fears. If every relationship you nurtured was built on authenticity, not the need for approval. This isn't some unattainable ideal. It's a real possibility, but it requires action. It requires a commitment to yourself. One of the greatest gifts of this path is clarity. When you know yourself, when you integrate your shadows and reconnect with your intuition, you begin to make decisions from a place of certainty. You no longer second-guess everything because you know who you are and what you want. And that clarity doesn't just benefit you, it lifts the people around you. You become a beacon, someone who inspires others to also become their best selves. Jung said that the purpose of life is not superficial happiness, but wholeness. Happiness is fleeting, dependent on external conditions that you can't always control. But wholeness, that feeling of peace with yourself, of living in harmony with your truth, is something no one can take away from you. It's the result of deep, consistent inner work, a gift you give yourself every single day. To reach this state of wholeness, it's important to surround yourself with people who support your growth. You can't thrive in a toxic environment or around people who constantly make you question your worth. This doesn't mean you have to cut ties with everyone, but it does mean becoming aware of how relationships affect your energy and well-being. Jung reminds us that we are reflections of the people we spend the most time with. If you want to live in alignment with your truth, you need to surround yourself with people who are also committed to their authenticity. In the end, this journey isn't just about you. It's a path that, as you walk it, transforms those around you. When you live from your truth, you invite others to do the same. You become a living reminder that it's possible to live a fulfilled life, even in a world that constantly pressures us to be someone we're not. Your courage to be yourself sets off a ripple effect that goes far beyond your personal journey. As you go deeper into this path toward authenticity, you begin to realize that life's true purpose isn't about finding some magical formula to be happy, but about discovering who you really are and living from that place of inner wholeness. We are not here to settle for what the world expects from us. We're here to create a life that reflects our deepest truth. Along the way, it's natural to face moments of doubt. There will be days when you wonder if you're doing the right thing, if all the effort is truly worth it. But I want you to remember this. Every small step you take toward yourself is an act of love. Every time you choose to listen to your inner voice, every time you decide to release something that no longer serves you, you're sending a powerful message to the universe. You're saying, I'm ready for something better. I'm ready to live in alignment with my truth. That's when synchronicity begins to show up more often. Those small daily miracles, those unexpected connections, those seemingly perfect opportunities, they're not coincidences. They are the natural result of living in alignment with your purpose, of acting from a place of authenticity. And the more you trust this process, the clearer your path becomes. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is learning to trust in who you are, to believe that the answers you seek are already within you, simply waiting to be heard. Jung believed the unconscious holds an infinite wisdom, one that is always trying to lead you toward your wholeness. But to access that guidance, you must learn to quiet the external noise and tune into your inner signals. Society has taught us to fear the unknown, to avoid chaos, to always seek security. Yet Jung shows us that chaos isn't something to be feared. It's a place of creation, a space where the old falls apart so the new can emerge. When you choose to face that chaos, instead of running from it, you uncover a strength you never knew you had. You discover that you're not broken, that you don't need fixing. You only need to remember who you truly are at your core. This is the moment to take control of your life, not from a place of struggle, desperation, or pressure, but from a space of deep acceptance and trust. It's time to understand that you already carry within you everything you need to create a life filled with meaning, a life that inspires you and fills your heart with purpose. You don't need to become someone else, chase perfection, or wait for some external force to give you permission. The truth is simple, yet powerful. You are ready. Right now, in this very moment, you are enough. But here's the catch. This meaningful life you long for will not arrive while you sit on the sidelines, hoping someone else will come along and deliver it to you. It won't magically appear through luck or coincidence. It's your responsibility. It's your right. And more importantly, It's your gift. You have the power to shape your own story, to direct the narrative of your life in a way that aligns with who you truly are. Imagine waking up every morning knowing, with absolute certainty, that your actions, your choices, your relationships, and your goals are all reflections of your truth. Imagine how empowering that would feel, to live with such clarity and alignment that every step you take feels like a declaration of who you really are. There is no greater freedom than that. There is no deeper joy than to know you are honoring your soul's path. That kind of life is not a fantasy, it's a possibility. But it begins with you. Right now, I want to invite you to do something powerful, something simple but transformative. Pause and reflect. Look honestly at your life. Ask yourself, what part of me have I been ignoring? What dream? What truth? What desire have I silenced out of fear, doubt, or the comfort of routine? What version of myself have I hidden away just to fit in or avoid change? And then, make a decision. You don't need to change everything overnight. This is not about grand gestures. It's about taking one small step, one single decision that moves you closer to the life you truly want to live. Because every step counts. Every small choice in the right direction builds momentum. It brings you closer to the version of yourself that's been waiting to be seen, heard, and lived. This is your moment. Life doesn't wait, and neither should you. There's a force within you, an energy, a voice, a knowing that is ready to awaken. It's ready to guide you to something greater, something more real, something that finally feels like you. Listen to it, trust it, let it lead you, and take that first step. Remember what Carl Jung once said, "He who looks outside dreams, he who looks inside awakens." This is your moment to awaken, to stop searching out there and begin the most important journey, the one within. Because when you do, you won't just transform your own life, you'll change the world around you. And that, my friend, is the sign you've been waiting for. That is the invitation. Not to fight or resist, but to take control of your life with love, with clarity, and with purpose. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for choosing this path of transformation, growth, and self-discovery. Your presence, your willingness to do this inner work is not just powerful, it's necessary. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to remember something vital. Change begins with you. It always has. But the effects of your inner change ripple outward. Your courage to live authentically becomes a mirror for others. Your decision to align with your truth gives others permission to do the same. That's the true power of reconnecting with who you really are. You don't just illuminate your own path. You become a beacon for others. You become the proof that it's possible. You become the reason someone else believes in themselves again. Now is your moment. You hold within you everything you need to take back the reins of your life and start living it from a place of wholeness, meaning, and deep inner peace. But this doesn't end here. This message, these words, have the potential to spark something powerful, not just in you, but in others. And what if you were the bridge? What if you were the one who helped someone else find this message? Someone who needs it just as much as you did. Maybe a friend, a family member, or even a complete stranger who's quietly waiting for a sign, a spark, a reminder that it's not too late to begin again. That's why I'm inviting you to act, not just for yourself, but for all those who are still lost in silence, who haven't yet found the strength to choose themselves. Be the messenger. Be the light. And most importantly, be the change. If this message resonated with you, share it. Help it reach more people who are also seeking answers, who might be in need of a sign to awaken and take control of their lives. Together, we can build a community where knowledge, authenticity, and growth are the foundations that bring us together. Let me know in the comments how this message touched your life. Which parts inspired you the most? What steps are you willing to take to reconnect with yourself? Your story doesn't just add value to this conversation, it might be exactly what someone else needs to take their first step toward transformation. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming videos. This is only the beginning. There's so much more to share, explore, and discover together. Every time you interact with this content, whether by commenting, liking, or sharing, you help spread this message even further to more hearts that are ready to awaken. Life is a journey, and today is the day to take a step toward your truth. You have the power to create a life filled with meaning and purpose, and the power to inspire others to do the same. Thank you for being part of this community, for choosing to listen, and most importantly, for choosing to grow. See you in the next video. Remember, change begins with you. See you soon.